Yo, what is up, YouTube? Today we're doing the first of many how to draw videos. We're starting with something that most artists would know is the go-to when you're bored and you have nothing to do. We're starting with eyes. We're drawing eyes today. So the intention for this video is that I'm get you prepared to be able to draw eyes in most situations. And I'm hoping to teach you the fundamentals of how I specifically draw eyes that allows it to be easily transformed into different styles and situations. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, so usually when you're watching a video or you're taught to draw eyes, you're mostly told to start with a circle, right? And eyes are circles. But that would be wrong. Eyes are not circles, okay? Humans are 3D creatures. Eyes are not circles, they're spheres, right? It's a sphere inside of your head, a 3D shape. The reason why this is important, even in styles that by default are 2D styles, is that being able to see an eye as a sphere instead of a circle makes it easier for you to envision different angles that the eye can be pointing at, right? When you're thinking of a circle, you have the forward, you have it looking forward, to the side, maybe up, you can try skew, but like when you're drawing it inside a head, it's easier to think of it inside as a sphere because it lets you get the angles right. Because you're like, okay, so he's looking up, so you draw the pupil a bit, not the pupil, the iris over here. And now you kind of have an idea of how it's supposed to fold. But not just the actual iris, it also gives you an idea of how to draw the eyelids, right? Because you know that it's a 3D shape, you know that there's curves, right? So there's the bottom eyelid, which will curve because it's a 3D shape, right? Makes it easier for you to draw to kind of envision where the eyelid should be. So that's why it's important to not think of eyes as circles, but as spheres. Because it transfers into other art styles, even anime art style, or like just cartoon in general. If you think about eyes as a sphere, it just allows you to come up with more dynamic positions for the eyeball, right? So that's the main fundamental. Eyeballs are spheres, not circles. Now the next part of this is to build on the eyeballs being spheres. When you draw eyes, you don't just draw the eyeballs, right? Usually eyes are inside of a face. Now I recommend that when you draw eyes, especially when you're getting into more difficult poses, and when the eyes are in weird positions, like in this one, where this eye might be easier to imagine, but this eye is slightly covered by the nose, right? So if you want to kind of get an idea of how to do it, I suggest looking at a mirror. Like I looked at a mirror for this one because it kind of gave me an idea of how the eye folds, how the eye bends and how much you can see of it when it's behind the nose, when it's at a special angle, right? So on the face, eyes are covered by the eyelids, right? Usually that gives the eye the shape that you'd think of. So usually I start off, I draw the top eyelid, right? Which is just a curve. Usually the top eyelid moves more than the bottom one, right? So the top eyelid, depending on the expression, is really the one that's going to be moving to cause a different expression. The bottom one mostly stays the same. You can pick a spot for it, and it doesn't really change. You know, you want to make the eyelid more sleepy or more narrowed eyed. you move the top one. You don't really move the bottom one. The bottom one, for the most part, will stay the same. An important thing to think of, which comes back to the starting point about eyes being 3D and humans being 3D, is that when you draw the eyelid for the eye, you must also remember that it is folding, it's a sheet over a 3D object, right? Let me just change the color, okay, to red for the eyelid. So here's our eye, right? The eye is 3D. It has its folds, right? It's 3D. It's not flat. It's very important to remember this. The eye is not flat. The reason why it's important to remember it is that it makes everything else easier, right? You'll hear a lot of artists in your art's journey talking about the importance of shapes, and they'd be completely correct, because everything comes down to a certain shape, right? And usually when you're trying to draw something, especially when the drawings get more difficult, you'll want to be able to simplify the shapes of your objects to very simple stuff. You know, you're drawing a face, right? You start with a sphere. I know this is kind of sidetracky, but you know, allow it. I'm going with my train of thought here. So you're drawing a face. You'll start with a sphere. The reason why sphere, it's a 3D shape, right? Because it's 3D, it allows you to envision that all the different indents and stuff more easily, right? And how they'll affect the shape of the face, right? You'll start with the face, maybe it's looking up. You do the straight kind of line for where, let me move this a bit here, right? There's maybe a bit of a fold and then boom, you know? But having this, the beginning of the face being a 3D object makes everything easier, because when you draw in stuff like the eyes, like where the eyes are resting, you'll know that there's a bit of an indent there. You know, the eyes aren't straight pasted on the face. It's a bit indented in there and then comes out. But you always start with simple shapes. And you look at a mirror to kind of get a bit of an idea of where things should be. But back to the eyes, right? Got a bit sidetracked there, but it's important that you understand the importance of seeing drawing is not drawing with 2D objects, but with 3D objects. Because especially as you progress in art, seeing things in 3D becomes more important, because it allows you to more creatively use the medium. Okay, so drawing eyelids. You're drawing eyelids. Eyelids are a sheet of skin on a 3D object. So that the reason why I'm saying this is that it's important to think about it depending on where you're putting the top eyelid, right? Remember what I said before, the bottom one for the most part stays in the same place for most expressions, even just in general for blinking, right? So this will be the neutral top eyelid. Usually you also draw a kind of a second lid. Also at the bottom, you also need to add some thickness to the lid, depending on the angle. Some of the angles, like if you're looking at the eye more from the top, just drawing the eyelashes. You're looking at the eye more from the top, then sometimes you can also see the actual meatiness, as I'd like to call it, of the eye of the bottom eyelid, right? It's some angles you can see the meatiness depending on where you're looking at the face from. There's a thickness there because it's a sheet, but it's not completely thin, right? There's actual mass. As weird as it sounds to say, it's present in the bottom eyelid, right? The reason why I reminded you about 3D shapes, I'm going to change the color again to blue, is that as your eyelid closes, it becomes more straight, right? And because it becomes more straight, it kind of goes in like a an arc, right? If you look at the eye from the side, it goes in an arc, the eyelid closing. So this is the eyelid, right? Here's your eye from the side. Has a bit of a roundness to it because it's a sphere, right? So here's the arc. It comes down again, and then when it closes, it doesn't just close straight, it closes downwards. So a closed eyelid, or kind of top eyelid, the closed top eyelid will overlap with the bottom one, right? So a closed eye looks like this. There's the arc. Usually you draw the eyelashes to kind of accentuate it. So and then you'd obviously draw the top lid, right? Not as accentuated as the bottom one. And then you draw the little. It's very important to look at your face for some of these details, right? This is my first how-to, so my explaining might be a bit dodgy, but I'm hoping that the concept is getting through, right? If there's one thing that I want to hammer in this first of many how-to videos, is the importance of recognizing the eyeball as a 3D shape instead of the standard 2D circle, right? You know, hammer in this phrase in your mind whenever you're drawing eyes, or even just drawing in general, 3D, not 2D, you know? It's a sphere, not a circle, right? It's important. It becomes very important later, and just in general, just because it allows you to more comfortably envision what you're drawing from different angles, you know? And it allows you more leeway in your creative endeavors if you actually understand how the shapes work, right? So yes, as you can see, obviously this is the beautiful thumbnail that you're gonna see when you watch this, before you watch this video. But I've incorporated this in all these drawings, right? The concept of a 3D shape, right? As you can see, especially in this one, right? As the lid is closing, it kind of arcs now. It can also be used to create expression, but in general, right? It's just to kind of get it through, right? The 3D shape, the 3D-ness of the shape. Now, since I've gotten, well, I hope I've gotten through the concepts of 3D shapes, right? You're working with a ball, a sphere, not a circle. Sphere, not circle, right? It's 3D, it has all the curves. It allows you to think of it in all directions and more accurately and comfortably be able to portray the shape that you're looking for. And also expanding on the idea, the arc of the eyeball, not the eyeball, sorry, the arc of the eyelids when they close, right? That when they close, they're not just straight, like you'll see a lot in usually very cartoonized styles. It's arced. Yeah, it's arcs. Right? If those are in this very simple how to, I mean, I might do it later again whenever I get better at explaining stuff, but the main important thought points are just 3D and expanding on that 3D into the arcs when using eyelids, right? So using these skills, I'm not going to change it from green. Using these skills, right, or these understandings, you'll hopefully be able to improve the eyes that you draw, right? Remember, you draw the 3D shape, right? If you need to be reminded, right? Because if this is a new imprint into the way that you do things, it's fine to need little indicators to remind you, right? Just think of it like when you're drawing a face, right? For where with the eyeball being the center, right? To remind you that it's a 3D shape. Right, here's the iris. Then you draw. I usually like drawing eyelash. One of the things I like doing is I like thick eyelashes, usually just because I think it looks cool. I just think it looks cool. But isn't that the most arty thing to say? I did it because it looks cool. But you know, it does. There does need to be a profound reason for everything that you do, right? Sometimes you can just do things because you think it looks cool. Now, if you're gonna draw eyelashes, like I am, I recommend remembering that it's hair, right? When I say that, I mean that it doesn't all need to be in the same direction, especially if you're trying to make it as bushy as mine, as my beautiful eyelashes. Remember that it doesn't need to be as all controlled and kept, right? Obviously, for the most part, it's in the same direction, but there are always some rebels in the hair endeavor, right? Also keep in mind that like everything else, it's also 3D. It's on something 3D. So when you stick it out, remember, I like putting this little curve in where it's coming out. I'm pretty sure normal eyes don't really have this, otherwise it'll be, at least at the bottom, it isn't as hectic. It's just how I'm enjoying drawing it right now. At the moment, because, you know, art styles change depending on the time period. So you do your second eyelid, the top one. Keep in mind where the nose is. Right, so here's the little, not bridge, but the thingy. Right. Here's the nose, doing nosy things, you know, being as nosy as it can. Let me make this. Let me add some character to this nose. And I've gotten sidetracked a bit by the nose, but let me add some character. You know, a little thing. You know. Okay, I'm returning to the eye. Keep in mind the little meat section that eyes have. Right. You can kind of see inside the meat. Right. Second line of eyelashes, keeping it very loose. It's a very sketchy style that I've cultivated at the moment, right? You don't have to do it exactly in my style, even though it would be a disservice to yourself to not try and explore the beauty that is my art style. But, well, my current art style. So when you're doing the eyebrows, like eyelashes, like I'm doing, kind of try and keep in mind that your actual eyelid shape should vaguely show through, but you can like mess it up a bit to kind of get the fuzziness of the eyebrows that I'm doing, you know. And you close it off. Right. Now remember, right? Because even though it looks like there's a lot of circle left over, remember this is a sphere, right? This is the stuff that's like behind your skin and stuff, so you don't actually see it. So it's fine that it's there. Then you know you add some thickness to the iris. You know, we add the pupil. The pupil is very important, just because it's the main indicator of direction besides the main iris, but it also can translate in the character, right? The actual person that you're drawing. The shape and size of the eye of the pupil actually matters, right? If I make a small pupil, right, just a little dot, my character looks way more intimidating and like just something off about him than if my character's pupil was, for the most part, normal sized. Or if I made my pupil really big, it would look like it's high or something, right? Pupils matter. The shape and size of pupils matter. Size does matter, right? Okay, it's something to keep in mind when you're drawing a character. One of the I don't know, I'd call it lesser appreciated, but it just might be that I don't think about it a lot. About drawing characters in general is the amount of meaning or the amount of the amount of meaning that can be derived from how you drew a character, right? Whether and the features that you put in a character, right? What brand of clothing they wear, even if it's like an in-universe brand. What out of unit? What real life brand does it resemble, right? Do they like wearing shoes? It's a weird thing to say, but do they like wearing shoes, right? What type of shoes do they wear? You know, are they high top guys? Do they only wear sandals? Do they only wear sports shoes? You know, dumb shit like that. Or in this case, what eyes do they have, right? Are their eyes a boring color? Like, not boring. Are their eyes a normal color? You know, are their eyes just dark brown, black? Or do they have a special eye color? If they have a special eye color, is the color that you choose, what color did you choose, right? Because colors also have meanings in themselves, right? If you chose red, then there's more likelihood that the character is a menacing character, right? But if you chose something like, I don't know, green or something more calm, then it could just relay something. So keep this stuff in mind when you're drawing. Don't like let it weigh you down, obviously. I'd rather have you use it as something to add to your art rather than something to stress too much about, right? Because you don't want to get stuck in the idea zone for too long, because then you might just not end up drawing, right? So you'd rather draw something, and then as you're drawing, you're like, oh shit, shoot, fuck. It's all gonna be censored out because I want to practice censoring my videos. Because like you, I am learning. I am quite the young man. I think I said it wrong. No, I said it right. I said it right. Never mind. That was Afrikaans, by the way, for my out of country viewers. But yeah, you want to use it as not really something to stress you about. It's just something to add on to your art when you're drawing something. So I'm just say I'm just drawing some dude, right? And I know that he likes playing soccer, but I don't want to make it super outright that he plays soccer by making him wear a sports team shirt. So what I could do is that as a little sign, something that most people won't even notice. This, like a lot of the time, this is pure like just reviewer and reviewer, in-depth watcher, maybe people who watch soccer, and most of the time just for the joy, right? His delight, his enjoyment. You give him the hairstyle of a famous soccer player, right? A recognizable hairstyle that someone can point at and be like, oh yeah, that's from that soccer player, right? Doesn't have to be as outright, but recognizable enough that someone who's versed inside the field can be like, oh shit, yeah, that's what that guy did. And then that adds a bit of character to this person, because not only on a baseline do they like soccer, there's some personality in them liking soccer, right? There's this specific person that they like enough that they emulated their hairstyle. And it kind of gives, it gives the character identity, right? But back to eyes, right? Use those little things. I don't know what they're called, but like the wavy shit that goes on inside your eyeballs, right? Usually eyes have there's a shine somewhere, right? There's a light coming from somewhere. Just remember to keep the lights consistent, because if you don't, it can kind of make your stuff look weird, right? And then usually what you do if you're doing that is that where the light is, it's dark, right? And then the further away from the light it gets to the bottom of the eye, the brighter it looks. So the kinder you are on the eyes, right? Now my eyelashes are a bit fluffy, so I can't really do the second layer, but I can do this little baby for the kind of baggy look. And then to kind of give you a better sense of the 3D of my guy, we can do a little nose. I think this is where it would be. In a lot of terms, I'm still very much a learner in this field. I want to improve. The goal of this channel is that while I am undergoing my arts journey, I would like to assist others in undergoing their arts journey while also spreading. I don't know, this sounds a bit weird to say on YouTube because I myself am from the time where you were kind of looked down upon for having ambitions. You had to just be here for fun. You couldn't want to be popular on YouTube. You had to come on camera and say, I just do this for fun. Even if I didn't get anything from it, I'd still do it. But like, I don't think I can say that wholeheartedly because one of the reasons I want to make this channel, right? I want it to get big, is I want people to see my art, right? I have the people already that see my art, and that's nice. But I'm an ambitious young man. I want more people to see my art. So that's one of the goals of this channel, is that I want it to get big so that more people can see my stuff. More people can see my stuff, and what would be cool in the future. I hope you're enjoying my rambling, by the way, because I'm not going to edit any of this out. This is going to be part of the character from the personality of the channel, is that you hear me rambling while I make my videos. You're welcome. But one of something that would be cool for the future, right? If it ever happens, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, is for me to either be somewhere or just even get a message from someone and just see them and just hear them or read them. Be like, yeah, I got into art because I watched your videos, or I was struggling with art and then I watched your videos and it inspired me to learn more. Or even the coolest thing would be someone dead ass just like copying my style, like one for one. Like obviously they acknowledge it, but one of the something really cool. By the way, draw eyelashes, not eyelashes. Sorry, eyebrows. Eyebrows also. This might be a different video entirely. I might make it a different video. But eyelashes are very important when it comes to expressing emotions. I might just make this a different video so that I have lots of videos. But like eyelashes are very important when it comes to expressing emotion in general. Anyway, something that would be cool is seeing one of those study videos, where they copy your style, but it's kind of like they're copying it in a way to break down how you did it. That would be cool. I won't lie. That would be very cool. But anyway, yes, that's how you draw eyes, right? As you can see, my eyes looking pretty nice. I hope to get better at it. But that's how I draw eyes, right? So let me just do a quick summary of the video before you go, right? Before I do that, if you liked the video, give it a like. You want to see more of it and, watch the journey, join the journey, subscribe, leave a comment, apricots, yeah. Comment apricots if you made it to this part of the video. And if you have any tips for me when it comes to explaining things, don't ask me to stop rambling because I won't. If you have any tips for me when it comes to explaining, leave it in the comments. If you have a specific part of drawing, right now this how-to is in the phase of drawing people. So if you have any parts of the human body that you'd like me to do a how-to on, I know the next one, I'm still thinking about it. I'm probably going to do how to draw hands because I would think that I'm pretty good at those. So if you want me to do a certain body part and teach you how to draw them or expand on your knowledge, give you a new perspective on how to draw them so that you draw them better, leave it down in the comments. And yeah, so let me go through the summary and then, then you can go be on your way. So, most important things from this video, the things that I tried to teach you. Think of eyes as not a circle, but a sphere. It's a 3D shape, right? Expanding from the 3D shape, apply that to the eyelids too, right? They're traveling on a 3D shape. They don't travel in a straight line, they travel in an arc, which means that when you draw them, it's going from, when you draw an eye, the top eyelid, it's going from here to here to here, right? So most important thing that I tried to teach you in this video is that 3D shapes, an eye is a 3D shape. That is the main point that I'm trying to get through, because all of the videos when I was learning to draw, you know, when I look on YouTube and learn to draw, it was always start with a circle, right? There might have been other videos emphasizing the sphere. I know I'd really, the idea, because I was already doing it, but the idea of it being a sphere really got into my head when I was watching Sam Does Art. It's a way bigger YouTuber. If you're on art, you probably already know him. But if you don't, hey, you know, W small channel shout out. But yeah, I really hammered it into my head that when you're drawing, especially people, you're drawing, you want to try and keep in mind that you're drawing in a 3D plane, right? So keep that in mind. That'll be the most important thing from this video. You're drawing on a 3D plane. Your eyeballs are balls. They're circles. They're not circles. They're spheres, right? So keep that in mind. That is all from this. That's the most important part from this video. Thanks for watching. I've already given the little subscribe and stuff like a bit before. Thanks for watching, and you know, see you next time.